Aloha! How you doing? Welcome to another exciting episode of Hibachi Talk. We thank you for giving up your lunch hour to spend time with us today. I thank Emily and Zuri for once again keeping us on the straight and narrow. Andrew, the security guy's out of town, so he's off doing something. I don't know. I can't even get a hold of him, so I don't know what he's up to. But we got Forrest Frizzel coming in here today, and kind of an Andrew lookalike, so to speak. You know, at least got the same hairstyle. And anyway, Forrest and I go back a long way. Forrest, welcome. Nice to see you, everybody.
Aloha, thanks for having me.
That's great. Great to have Forrest here. You give us a lot of insight. We're going to talk about internet service providers today. We got Aryn Nakaoka from TriNet Solutions coming in. He's going to talk about a number of things that are going on with his company. LavaNet, a long-time ISP in town, and some things that are shifting and happening on that side. So we got all those kind of things happening as well. So grab a libation, grab a towel, pull up, sit down with us, and we'll talk a little bit of tech, and you can overhear us talk about things that have gone on. So Forrest, you and I go back quite a long way. I mean, you were my deputy director at the city and counting of Honolulu. I think you coined that phrase, by the way. I'm not going to take credit for it. So you were over there for quite a while. So and you've got a very interesting career in tech. And we asked the guests the same questions, but since it's your first time here, not as a guest. So what what intrigued you and got you interested in the tech side?
That's a great question. When I was at the University of Hawaii, I was really interested in film, and there wasn't a film program back then. So I was taking a lot of communication classes, which ultimately led me into technology because we were using Avid editing equipment. And I was really got interested in that aspect of film, and I was able to line up a internship with Oceanic Cable. I worked in a networking hub. Actually, I'd go every day after school, work for free. My friends thought I was crazy. Yeah. But when I look back at my career path, so much of it comes because of that time that I spent working for free as an intern at Oceanic Cable.
And I mean, I worked for free too. That's how I got into the tech thing. It was like, didn't get paid for it, except when I was, borrowing people's address information and handing it out for $1. So, but so you had that going on, and you've done a lot of really interesting, neat tech projects over the years, especially in the community. I mean, you've done a lot of tech things in the community.
Right. Well, I think when you look back at how blessed we've been, our careers and the path that we've been able to take, and I think the folks that have surrounded themselves around you and kind of helped to lead you down the path to success, I think it's just our duty to give back to our community, and so I've tried to focus a lot of my time on giving back, and focusing on kids especially in socioeconomic areas that might not have the same access to either leadership training or tech training, or just the greater world around you, and what's available.
What's going on there? Now you're in Boys and Girls Club. You still doing work with them?
I resigned from Boys and Girls Club at the end of last year, and I'm now with an organization called Purple Maya.
Okay.
And so I'm really excited about Purple Maya. Our mission is to teach technology to kids,
okay.
and at the end of the day, hoping to change technology. Our focus is to work in economically depressed areas where these kids might not have access to technology. And so we're teaching, we start our program first with a hacker box, teaching them how to work on circuit boards, and then we move into coding,
okay.
Coding inside Minecraft. But wrapped around, the envelope around this training is we add a layer of Ike, of Hawaiian-based learning. So like I said, we use Minecraft. Inside Minecraft, we're actually building out an ahupua'a and an auai system, a water system, and a lo'i system, and so there's cultural context to the learning.
So so this is kind of neat. So you've got the cultural context going on. You've got what you need to do is get GIS and those kinds of things involved, and that'd be one of your next parts I would think that you would add. Now, how old are these kids? What age groups that we're talking?
So we have a pilot going on right now at Jared Intermediate. So it's intermediate school. We just received some additional funding, so it looks like we may be moving into Papakulea and working out of the community center over there.
Wow.
And our hope is, as we continue to bring in more grant money, move out to the west side of Oahu, and then expand to neighbor islands.
So how many young adults have you got in the program right now?
Our classroom can handle 20.
Okay, well, and you've got 20 in there now?
We have 20. I mean, we actually had to turn kids away. It was that popular.
Wow.
And it's neat because it's a mix of male, female, and different ethnicity as well, though our focus is Hawaiian Pacific Island kids.
Where do you get your instructors? Like how do you find someone to come in and instruct these programs?
So we're partnered with DevLeague on the technology side, and then we have some teachers from the University of Hawaii to help with the Ike, with the Hawaiian-based learning side. So it's a partnership between the two.
So that's your latest one, right?
Right.
So that's the one. Now before that, you've had some other things you did. Lemonade, what was it called? Lemonade Alley?
Lemonade Alley, so that was fortunate to be on the original steering committee for the first year, 2011 for Lemonade Alley. And Lemonade Alley is a great concept. It's really to teach business skills to kids. And so it's the guys is around a lemonade competition, so the kids make up their own recipes, their own marketing. And there's definitely a tech component to that as well. As you're utilizing social media to get the word out.
Their marketing.
There. Right. Yeah, and it's amazing, what these kids come up with. It's remarkable.
And that's been going on since, and you were one of the founders, 2011, and it's still going, because I know there was a big thing at Splash about last year's as well.
Right. Steve Su, who's the founder, has really kept it going. It's strong. They just actually had the competition earlier this month, this year. I think it was at Pro Ridge.
Yeah, and I've actually seen the news media have picked it up now.
Right.
And they've started to get involved, and they make it very, very commercialized. Not commercialized, but they get the word out on what's happening with all that. So you've got that. Then you did some neat thing, this Code for America thing. So that was another kind of a unique project that you got involved with.
Yeah, we were introduced to Code for America when we were at the city, and they came in and helped us with some citizen engagement, open government type of work. And it's actually interesting to see how Code for America has changed over the years. And they're still the same organization, but they've moved to a little bit of a different model where they're looking at verticals. So health is one, justice, public safety justice is another, and economic development is the third. And so when they're going into communities, to cities, to work with cities, they're looking at these verticals specifically.
Now, they were very tight with the government side, though. The work was, you developed, you were responsible for the development of a large number of mobile applications and web-based applications, and we'll talk about some of that when we get Aryn on here. But were made very affordable and readily available to government. So you tell me they're getting away from the government space or branching out beyond that?
No, it's within the government.
It's still within
so government oversees things like economic development,
okay,
public safety, justice, health. But if these are the things that are in the news right now, whether it be Baltimore and Ferguson on the public safety side, there's all kinds of health stuff in the news. And I think ultimately, if you look at all these things that have really been surfacing, I mean, economic development is a huge thing that I think we need to start paying more attention to. If you look at the disparity between rich and poor that's happening in this country.
So there was when the Code for America team was here and left. What were they called? They were called
the Fellows.
The Fellows. The
Yeah.
Fellows. So they left, but wasn't there an organization that kind of got started after they left to keep this thing going?
Right. So Bert Lum played a big role in that, and he put together we call it a brigade, and it's kind of funny. It's called a brigade because if you think back to the old days, there was fire departments. They called them the brigades because they were all volunteer, and so this is a volunteer brigade called Code for Hawaii. Did some work, and then it kind of dropped off a little bit, but we're in the process of trying to resurrect that.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges. We've talked about this on Hibachi Talk before, is that you get a lot of momentum, a lot of things get going, and then after a while you lose a champion. And when you lose a champion, then it falls by the wayside.
I think that's key is losing the champion. And at that time when we were in city government, it was part of our agenda to try and do these kinds of things.
Right.
And that for whatever reason, that's not. The atmosphere is not quite the same at the city level or the state level, and so taking that into consideration, we want to continue to forge on and try and find our own, stakeholders.
Yeah, and that's what I've been saying. Government can do some things, but really, let's not depend on government for us to create economic stimulation, for us to give this youth of today, more opportunities in tech field and the like. Don't worry about the government. Just pick up the thing and go and run with it.
Absolutely. I think that's why, Purple Maya is so interesting is, if you can afford it and you can send your kids to Midpack or Iolani or Puno, they are teaching kids how to code and how to work on circuit boards and do this.
Yeah, we had a guest last week and she was, programmer and robotics and all kinds of stuff.
And she went to
Puno, right.
But these kids, but you don't see this happening in Nanakuli or at Jared Intermediate or at Castle. And so we need to make sure that these kids are able to keep up.
Right, and that's the business of the market today. If these kids aren't coming in here with that tech knowledge, they're already behind the 8 ball.
Right, and I think the only way technology is going to continue to innovate is if you have different people at the table, right? And you go to these tech events, and not that we look bad, but they all kind of look like us, right?
Yeah.
It's like a lot of white males.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day...
I was wondering where you were heading with that.
Well, at the end of the day, right, I think it only makes sense that there's other people that they're at the table to play a role.
Yeah.
And look at where technology can
And
go.
why not more? Why I go back to what I said? Why not more women? I mean, why not more women getting into this business and realizing that it's a huge career? We've had a lot of females on the show to keep and try and emphasize and prove that there is an opportunity here on that side. So you've got these. What other things have you got going on in your outside activities? This is pretty cool stuff, right? You volunteer a lot. You must be broke. No money, broke, volunteer all the time. Oh, life is tough. No wonder you hang out with me.
You're a professional philanthropist. No, I think I've been at the end of last year. I kind of made a decision to focus down a little bit, and so Purple Maya is where most of my time is being spent.
You spend on that kind of thing. So now there's some other events that have continued that are still going on. Is Chaka Con still on, or there's Chaka Con, and then I was invited, but I couldn't make it to go to an event in Maui. They're having some tech events now in Maui. They're starting to get some legs over there. And again, community-based, not the government. It's community-based stuff that's happening.
Yeah, I know this weekend on Saturday is the Maker Faire at Iolani at the Sullivan Center, and that is just awesome because it's a lot of kids who are, whether it be circuit boards or programming, creating, being creative. And all that will be on display. I think there'll be some drones and some other things like
cool
that.
Stuff like that.
And then Bert Lum and Ryan Ozawa have their Unconference on May 16th. That's also at Iolani.
That's right. I'm out of town. I wanted to go to that.
Yeah,
too,
I'm out of town as well. That's always a lot of fun. If you think back, what's come out of those, we had some things from the city that came out of that. The original co-working spaces, the box jelly came out of one of those out of Unconference. So yeah. That's a pretty exciting.
So that's another cool one. Yeah, well, we got to go for a break in a little bit, but before we do, I like to have a segment called you got one tech job. Okay. So we'll go around town. We try to find some things. So Zuri, I can't even remember which one I sent you for this week. Oh yeah, you got one tech job. So this is on a box. I just loved it. Made in China with this U.S. flag. And I go, oh, so there you go. It's made in China. I don't know how you want to interpret that. You can interpret that certainly a various number of ways. Anyway, this person got one tech job. Anyway, wow. So it's kind of time where I got to go take a break, and we'll go round up Angus. He's down at the beach again, and pull him up here for some of his shenanigans, and we'll get Aryn to come on. So anyway, we'll be back in a couple of minutes, and see you in a bit.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ethan Allen. I host Likeable Science on ThinkTech Hawaii, and I do this because I care about science literacy in Hawaii. I want to spread the understanding that science is a vital and interesting part of everyone's life. I want to make sure the broadest possible spectrum of people understand the beauty and the value of science and realize that science plays out each and every day of their lives. I want you to understand that science is fun. So we bring onto this show each week guests who are scientists, from astronomers to zoologists, and we talk about what they do and how they do it. But most importantly, we talk about why you should care about their work, why you should see their work has value and impact on your life. So I hope you'll join us Fridays, 1 p.m. here on ThinkTech Hawaii. You can watch us via live stream. You can watch us recorded on Olelo, and you can see us each week. We hope you'll join us.
Aloha, my name is Miley Scarpino, and I'm the host of the Empower Hour. If you're interested in health, nutrition, fitness, here on the island of Oahu, want to learn more about places to train at or different trainers available, then watch my show on Fridays at 3. We have a great time, and I hope that you'll come join us. Much aloha. Now go get swole.
Aloha, my name is Paul Jackson, better known as PJ, and my local interest is in sports. I have my own sports radio show. Aloha, my name is Paul Jackson, better known as PJ, and my local interest is in sports. I have my own sports radio show at KWAI AM 1080 that you can stream live. I also have my own website, pjsportsradio.com. We have live guests in studio, and we talk about discussions and topics that everyone wants to know locally here on the islands. We cover everything from surfing to basketball to whatever's going on locally, sports-wise. We try to do our best and cover the topics in depth as much as we can. Once again, thank you for joining PJ here on Hawaii Sports Update. Mahalo.
Hi, I'm your host on ThinkTech Asia, Bill Sharp. I look forward to you joining us each Monday between 4 and 5 o'clock when we film right here in our studio in downtown Honolulu. The show, ThinkTech Asia, focuses on contemporary events in Asia. And by Asia, we mean anything from Hawaii, south to Australia and New Zealand, west to Pakistan, and as far north as the Russian Far East. Clearly, this is one of the most economically dynamic centers of the world, and we bring you up to date on what's going on in a whole host of countries in this very vital region. We look forward to seeing you. Aloha.
Live. Aloha. Welcome back to Hibachi Talk. I'm the guest co-host, Forrest Frizzel, having fun down here. We found Angus. He was down at the beach. We had to pull him away. He was talking to a couple co-eds down there, but he's back, and I think he might have a joke for us today.
How you doing there, Forrest? I love that name, Forrest. You kind of see the forest for the trees. It's really great to see a forest. But anyway, Forrest, you know, what's the difference between a Scotsman and a tightrope?
I have no idea.
Sometimes a tightrope gives. You know how tight we Scots are. Anyway, so speaking of tight, and we were talking about ISPs, and so we're going to talk about ISPs today. But you know what? I found out the other day that I'm paying $7 a month for my modem to get on the internet. What am I doing paying that silly dollar for? I can go out and buy a new modem for about $49. You know, that's going to save me some money. And you know, guess what? I bought a modem and I replaced the one. I don't have to pay the $7 anymore. Man, I can tell you, I'm so upset. All those years I spent all that money. Anyway, so I read my tech tip today is really simple. Go look at your provider, find out where the modems are, and go buy one, and don't pay them all that money. Anyway, that's it. I gotta go back see the lassies down on the beach. And so aloha, and let your wing gang free wherever you be.
Wow, Angus, I'll have what he's having. So our guest is here, Aryn Nakaoka from TriNet Solutions, to talk about ISP and where TriNet Solutions is moving in the future.
Hi.
So bad. How you
Hi.
doing?
Good,
Nice
good,
to see you.
good. Nice to
It's
see
always
you.
a pleasure to have you on. Aaron's been on ThinkTech before, so he's
Yeah, a long time
a long
ago.
time ago. So, but we have, again, with standard questions that we give our guests when they first come on board is like, you know, where did you go to school? What got you in tech and so on?
Here, before we start, I wanted to bring Angus a gift.
Oh,
You know, something very smoky
a scotch.
for Scott.
You're gonna have what he's having.
Awesome.
And I always wonder what's in the cup, so I brought one of you guys each. That's literally the last two we have in the office.
Oh, a whole lot of lava going on, and we're gonna talk about this.
That is the last LavaNet cups mugs to be handed out ever.
Oh, so you're upstaging our solo cup, man.
No,
that's nice.
I didn't bring myself one because I knew I'd get an autographed.
Solo cup.
Solo
right.
cup,
Yeah, okay.
right.
All right, so.
I just wanna make sure I know what's
someone
in
else
it.
watches the show. Now we got it. Well, thanks a lot, man. This is
So-
awesome. Thank you. Well, we may leave these up here. We'll end up with a whole collection. So anyway, we stand, oh, this is really nice. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And we'll share it later. So where did you go to school?
I went to high school at Hawaii Baptist Academy, and then I went to college at the University of the Pacific in Stockton, California.
And you studied tech?
No, I went for pharmacy.
Oh,
Yeah, I went to pharmacy, found out I didn't want to kill anyone by making the wrong drug, so.
yeah. I'd be real, having known you for a while, I'd be real nervous with you
Getting
behind the
drugs from
pharmacy,
me, exactly.
behind the pharmacy counter. That would,
So I actually went into the business school and met a professor from Kona, and he and I started the MIS program at the University of Pacific.
wow.
So being the first graduate made it easy to graduate as well. There's no bar.
Yeah. How do you, no bar. What kind of bar? That
Yeah,
bar
no,
or just no
different,
bar?
different.
Yeah.
So it made it really easy. Graduated, came home, joined the family business. My father started Progressive Communications in '83, so got into phone systems, and from there, phone systems wanted to own an ISP.
Right.
ISP created, from an ISP, we saw a need for direct connectivity, got that. Then the ISP purchase came up.
So let's talk about ISPs, because that's, it's internet service provider.
Right.
So give us, you're in it, you've been doing this for a while. To a person that's watching this show and they may not be all that technically savvy, like my brother Ivor, whose birthday is today, he said, I don't understand anything you're talking about, but he watches the show religiously. Anyway, so what is an internet service provider?
So if you go way back, right, before the internet was so prevalent everywhere, there was two ways to get online. You could either get broadband, which we refer to now as high speed, or dial-up. And you would actually dial up to a server, which would then get the data for you. Dial-up still exists, and we still have several hundred dial-up customers.
Wow.
Because broadband is not everywhere, and that's just a fact. And
Is that Hawaii, unique to Hawaii, you think? Or
no, it's just unique to, there's not enough revenue to justify the carriers building out to rural areas,
Okay,
right?
all right.
And some people just don't want broadband because you can get dial-up as low as $9 to $20. If that's all you need to download your mail, I mean, yes, it takes a while. So we have a lot of customers that will start the dial-up, go take a shower, come back and read their mail. That works, and they're happy doing that, right?
Because it's $9.95 a month.
And
That's
so-
probably something Angus would do.
So long term, right, to get the internet out to everyone, one carrier couldn't do it. So ISPs were created to help get broadband out there faster. So what ISPs would do, so LavaNet was formed in '94,
Okay.
right? And at its peak, LavaNet had, I want to say, 12 to 15,000 connections. And to manage those connections, we needed a very large staff and whatnot.
Right.
But that's how broadband got to Hawaii quicker.
And back in those days, there was LavaNet and there was Pixie.
PixieNet.
PixieNet. I think Eddie Bumatai was a principal in PixieNet, I think at one time.
And so was Robert Palma.
Oh, that's right, that's
So
right.
He's a Pixie investor.
So Pixie investors had Pixie, had LavaNet. Do you remember those for us?
I remember Pixie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Yuka was the founder.
Yuka was the founder of LavaNet,
LavaNet.
and then she sold it to Pully,
Okay,
and Pully then sold it to me.
sold it to you.
Right.
So LavaNet's been around since the 90s.
94, so.
So now
21 years.
I hear rumors that LavaNet's shutting down. So, I mean,
Yeah, so, LavaNet through the years went from 10,000 people making $7 million a year, and just didn't keep up with technology. We kept, or they kept staying with DSL and dial-up, and didn't evolve, right?
so didn't evolve. So it's got nothing to do with NSA.
No, it's not going to do the NSA, and we weren't bought out by Google.
And
So a lot of people believe we were bought out by Google. A lot of people believe we're going out of business. LavaNet right now, as we've not chopped it up, but as we've broken the pieces up, can live forever. It's just a matter of what piece of LavaNet are you talking about, and is it in the form that it was in '94? Of course not, right? Because the business model and the way the technology was laid out wasn't scalable and just wouldn't last.
Yeah, well, the first things I remember, LavaNet and PixieNet, and it was cool. I could get on the internet, albeit slowly, and I could get email, albeit slowly, but it was kind of neat. It was cool, and it wasn't that expensive.
Right.
And so, but you still got those old mindset. Like, I'm an old guy, so I could have still had that old mindset client say, I like my $9 a month.
Right, and then so you have to break everything up. ISPs or internet service providers have so many different functions, right? So there's email, there's actual web hosting, there's the DNS hosting, there's getting you online, and then there's the actual internet connection, right? So all of those pieces are done in different stages for different customers.
So like Oceanic's phone service.
Right, so we also, because of that, LavaNet, before we purchased LavaNet, didn't offer phone service.
Okay.
So now we've focused a lot of energy on phone service because that's where we can survive. Right?
So I can go to, I have more than just the two incumbents for phone service.
Well, actually, there's three, right? So there's level 3, or
Oh, that's
what was TW Telecom.
Right.
There's Hawaiian Tel, and there's Oceanic or TW Cable. But if you look beyond that, there's several VoIP providers in town, and we are one of them.
Voice over IP providers,
Right.
and you're one of those. So people, people and businesses, right, should realize you've got other choices out there.
Correct. We focus mainly on B2B.
Business to
right?
business.
Business to business.
And so you're out there selling phone systems. You're an internet service provider.
We are an internet service provider, and actually, so we focus, right, so the piece that we're really talking about is the connecting directly to the internet. And that piece has become a race to the bottom, right? Everyone's advertising 100 megabits per second for $10, right? And we don't want to, and as a small company, we can't compete in that piece, right? It's like the gas stations, right? Before you used to have someone pump your gas.
Right.
But everyone wants lower gas prices, which means that guy's got to go, so everyone now has to pump their own gas. And so we don't want to play in that world because in the end, we believe internet will be free, right?
Okay.
But service on that internet is never going to be free because that requires intelligence, and intelligence is never free. So what we've been doing is we can provide you internet from anyone and monitor and manage it. So we call that service Keep Your ISP Honest.
Okay.
So you can keep us honest, or you can keep the big boys honest, because they
Right.
don't tell you a lot of things. They also don't manage your network. So that's where we come in, and as an ISP, are still providing you internet, but yet it may or may not be our backbone. Because one thing, and it's not necessarily the ILEX, the ILEX
Yeah,
fault.
the smaller exchange carriers.
But Hawaiian Tel basically told the ISPs, you can't get any faster than 3 megs by 768, when they are themselves offering much higher.
Right. So so isn't that anti-compete?
You would hope.
Yeah, I would only
You would
hope
hope.
that, right?
The PUC and the FCC, we've written letters, but there's nothing you can do, right? And rather than pout in the corner, yes, that's a sore spot, but we can't do anything about it. We have to move on.
So it was one of the options to look at technology to compress and squeeze more out of that pipe, or if we've maxed that one pretty well?
Yeah, if you're looking at modem compressions and just proxying,
Right.
You got as fast as you're getting.
You got as fast as what you're going to get. So it's interesting. We're talking about building this tech industry in Hawaii and so on, and yet you've still got. And I don't mean to beat up the incumbents. Oh yes, I do. But anyway, it's they put certain constraints on the independents like yourself.
Right, and it's not, and maybe in the big picture, it's not their fault because they're in a bigger race, right? Their revenues, their profit gets cut in half. It got reported, right? So
Right.
they're losing everything on every front, right? They're losing TV, they're losing internet, they're losing phone.
Right.
So for them to say, look, we need to focus on ourselves, so be it, right? In the end, the consumer loses because the consumer can't get high speeds on private connections.
Right.
But, we have workarounds.
Yeah,
right?
you've got
We
workarounds.
can figure it out.
Oh, interesting. So anyway, we're going to take another short break. We got to pay some bills, and we'll take care of those, and then we'll come back in a couple of minutes.
Inspired by an ancient culture, classical Chinese dance, vigorous physicality, timeless stories, 5,000 years of Chinese music and dance. Shen Yun presents authentic Chinese culture. Coming to Blaisdell Concert Hall, May 8th and 9th. Tickets at shenyun.com or call 808-792-3919.
Come and spend 45 minutes to an hour with Jay Fidel and the ThinkTech staff. They're terrific professionals. They help us to bring some of the leading cutting-edge topics here across our state to you. So you can join us at our show on healthcare in Hawaii to talk with leaders from across all the spectrum of health in our state, or you can join us for any other show where we talk about economic development or tourism or some really eclectic programs too. So really, we'd love to see you here on our show. Thanks for joining us and thanks for supporting us.
Aloha, how you doing? Welcome back to Hibachi Talk. I'm Gordon Bruce, the Tech Czar. I'm here with Forrest Frizzel. Andrew's stand-in today, so the not-so-security guy, I guess is one way of doing it. And also our guest is Aryn Nakaoka from TriNet Solutions. He's here talking about the wonderful world of ISPs. Forrest, you had something you wanted to punt to Aryn here.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're really, I guess, simplifying the back end, pulling everything into a single service.
Right.
What's going to happen with that? What's the down the line effect for your customers?
So our dial-up customer base already is standalone, so the dial-up will live on. Our DSL, we are migrating our DSL customers slowly to the Keep Your ISP Honest because they can get faster internet, and as long as service doesn't change for them, they're happy with that. The web hosting and DNS is already standalone on virtual servers. And then we have another service called Aloha DNS, which is our security DNS service, which allows customers to block Facebook and whatnot for their whole network. That's also standalone. The biggest change is when we bought LavaNet in 2011, we migrated all of the LavaNet from a pop mail, IMAP mail server that was on its last leg in our office to Google Apps for ISP. In 2011, we signed what we thought was a contract that would never go away because you're signing with Google. For whatever reason, and it hasn't been explained to the detail that we'd like, but Google is stopping the ISP product. And they're pointing to the fact that if you have a user on your network that you sell to, you can't have them on your domain. So this affects ISPs, right? So if I'm selling an email account of @lava.net,
Right.
and that user, let's say, doesn't want to be on Google Apps, we speculate that someone might have sued Google directly, and so Google's just like, we don't want to deal with it. But even realtors, right? So if you're a large realty company and you pay, and someone pays you for a desk, and part of that desk fee is their email address, you are in violation of the Google terms of service.
Well, go ahead.
Wow, that's got the downline effect. That's going to be huge.
Right. So there are millions of mailboxes moving right now.
Yeah. So what is your plan then? I mean, that's a lot of data. Are you going to host that locally? Are you going to host that?
So, we went back and forth of, do we bring it back in-house? Do we find a third-party provider to do it for us? Everything that we came up with and every which way we chopped it, the best method was to turn LavaNet into a forwarding service and let the user pick, right? Because if we move it in-house, they lose Google Docs, and a lot of people love the Google Docs. They lose two-step authentication, or they don't get two-step. If we move it outside, they still have to migrate their mail. So if we're gonna make this very painful transition, we should do it once and never again. Right?
Absolutely, a sign of the times, right? I mean, it's just interesting to see how your business model has to change as the industry changes.
Right, so the industry changes your business model, then causes me, John Q Business, to change how I'm operating, and they've got to keep up, and they don't necessarily want to do it. I want to keep my LavaNet email address.
We've had, since '94, we have some users that have used smtp.lava.net for 21 years, right? And they won't lose their LavaNet address. All they have to do is set up a new, let's say a Gmail.
Okay.
And then we wrote software which was written locally, right? So good for the local coders.
Right.
That will forward their LavaNet address to their new Gmail, and they're done. They keep their LavaNet address. They get storage. And again, it's the whole race to the bottom thing, right? Email is free nowadays.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, we used to pay for it.
Right.
Right.
We used to pay big bucks for it.
Yep.
Email is free. Service is not. But you can get a free mailbox, and we don't want to be in that race because pretty soon it's going to be free mailbox, free storage, free office.
Yeah.
And all you need is a Gmail account. So for us, the best method was to turn it into a forwarding service.
So you're going to have all of these existing clients that get to pick a carrier of their choice. It could be Office 365, it could be Gmail,
Yes.
it can be Yahoo, it can be whatever.
Right. So the big three, or Hotmail.
Or Hotmail, but it gets forward. But then let's say, well, I want to move all my email. I don't want to lose my email. So
Right.
who's going to do that for me?
So it's kind of like the pumping gas thing, right? Either you pay to have someone pump your gas and you pay a premium, or you pump the gas yourself.
Right.
And if you don't like either choice, then you just don't drive your car, right? So we've found a company called BitTitan that will migrate mail from your old LavaNet account to your new Gmail account for $12.
Or whatever account.
One-time $12,
One-time charge,
right?
okay.
Or you can do it yourself. It's just IMAP.
Right.
Or you can have your, cousin, uncle, grandchild do it.
The 13-year-old,
Right.
or the 15-year-old girl we had here last week who has
Or-
3 businesses.
Or we can source someone for you. And right now, locally, again, labor rates are higher. So, locally it's $150 per migration.
For migration. So I bet you've got a lot of happy clients
Yeah.
out there right
Well,
now. You're in a tough spot.
We're in a tough spot, and we're doing the best we can to provide the service. So I mean, if there's any IT guys out there that want to do a migration for someone, the market rate's 150, takes about 2 to 3 hours depending on size. We have some scripts that make it easier, but it's still, it's someone's email. It's someone's very sensitive. It's personal, right? It's very
Right.
personal.
Well, I mean, but there you go. For anyone that's watching this show,
Yeah, contact us.
Contact you at TriNet Solutions. That you can pick up some money on the weekends. You can, hey, there you go.
Well, I mean, even your coders, right? Some of your coders can try it out.
That
right?
group that the group that you're working with, you say, hey, we got an opportunity. You guys want to make $75 to $150 on the weekend?
Right.
I mean,
right. Economic development.
economic development. It's right there. So when's the big day? When's the drop?
So we're trying to, we're not aware of the exact day. So we tell people it's sometime in July 2015, which is 2 months away.
Okay.
We've done some steps in the midterm to kind of shock everyone and tell them, look, this is happening, this is real. So for example, if you go to webmail.lava.net, we hijacked that site and we've put on a fax, right? So we're going to eventually upload this video to that site and have everyone watch this to explain what's happening, right? June 1st, we're going to turn off the proxy server, which allows people who are using pop.lava.net, right? That gets translated. We wrote software to translate that into pop.gmail.com. That will go away. So all the guys that are popping will no longer pop. So they're going to call.
They're going to call. They're going to say, I'm
Right.
not getting my email.
So at which point we have to tell them you have 2 options. For the next month, use gmail.com and your full username. Because basically LavaNet is a Gmail account. So if you use username at lava.net, then it's a full Gmail account and you can pop check it, IMAP it, however you want. But by July, we would like you to get another Gmail account and migrate. Because the Gmail accounts will no longer be Gmail accounts sometime in July.
So are they still dragging their feet? Are they
Right now, like for example, Jay is a
Jay-
LavaNet customer.
Jay's loving that.
Jay was one of the first to forward, and it's a very simple process. You just go to forward.lava.net, and you give us your old email, your new email, you verify it, and your mail's forwarded.
And your mail is forwarded. But then you've got to go and if you want to keep all your old mail, then you've got to go through that migration process.
Or you can start anew.
Or you can start
Right?
new. What a great way to clean up all those,
That is the beautiful silver lining.
I know, it's like, you go,
Simplify
I
your-
got my first email from my 9-year-old. He sent it to me way back in 1994. I want to keep it,
So, we tell people it's like moving house, right? And it is, right? So when you move your house, first you set up your new house, you tell the mailman, hey, I'm no longer here, forward all my mail here, right? So then you're active, you can live in your new house, you can get all your mail, you're functioning.
It's a good analogy.
All of your old furniture, someone's got to move it, right? And either you pay someone to move it or you move it yourself. And it's really contacts, which is one download, right? It's an export my contacts. It's calendar, export my calendar. And it's docs, export my docs, right? Those are the 3 easy ones.
But isn't the big fear going to be, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, but but if
Please.
I'm moving all my stuff over there, my contacts,
Right.
that means now Google has access to my contacts.
Now assume, right. And so that's why some people didn't like our decision in 2011 to go with Google Apps.
Right.
This allows them now to choose any provider they trust.
Right.
If they like Yahoo, if they like Microsoft, right? If they want Gmail, or if they want to even get a custom domain. We're helping a lot of customers, especially small businesses, get a custom domain.
Oh, okay, so you gave me, you just gave me an idea. So, GoDaddy, if you use GoDaddy, and I'm not promoting one over the other, but, certain accounts of GoDaddy, you get 5 email, or you
Right.
get free email and so on. So you could possibly do that as well. Be
Right.
your own private domain running on GoDaddy's servers.
If you're a TriNet, LavaNet, or a Loatone customer, we buy you a domain. So if you don't have email now, we set it up for you, right? And so a lot of customers, what happens is a lot of customers in the past were using LavaNet for business, right? For their actual
Right. Oh,
business
yeah.
contact.
For sure.
Or a lot of people were fronting. So for example, Hawaiian King is one of our larger forwarders, right? Their mail, hawaiianking.com, actually forwards to a LavaNet account. So we're working with them to maybe make that into a direct Google Apps account or a direct Office 365 account. But there's a lot of people doing that. So C Engineering is another one that was a LavaNet forward, but now needs to be native.
So this, but for a regular John Q. public that doesn't do this business, this is a real complex world for them.
Yes.
This is really like,
Yeah.
grandma's going, I just want my LavaNet email.
Right. And we wish we could make it simpler, and we've tried to make it as simple as possible, and we think we've done a good job of that. It's just a matter of there are some steps. Right?
Steps.
So it's 1, set up your new Gmail. 2, forward your LavaNet to your new Gmail account, and you're done if you don't care about your old house.
Yeah, right. But if you care about your old house,
If you care about your old house, then you
call
have-
Forrest. Forrest is going to bring in the brigade,
Right.
and come down and get everything fixed.
or find someone in high school. They can probably do
Yeah,
it.
they could probably do it for you. So what else is happening? You got much going on? We got a couple minutes to go here.
We have, from the next 2 months is going to be focusing on this. And
Right.
then after that, it's just really our Loatone projects, which are the voice over IP, right? That's taking off, trying to get everyone to a cloud-based phone system so that
Right.
even if there's power outages or cables down, we never lose any.
You've still got,
Right, we
got
still
all
have
all of
service.
that happening with these.
So outside of this issue that you're focused on right now, what do you see happening in the industry that is exciting you, that you're maybe thinking about for your company, or just as a tech consumer going
Well, you know
forward?
what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave that for the next time he's here.
Oh,
That one.
wow, bait and switch.
There's a name for this. Yeah, bait and switch. We did a bait and switch because we actually, believe it or not, we burned through the lunch hour.
Wow, okay.
And so I gotta stop at this point. Thanks, Forrest, for filling in for
Absolutely.
Andrew, because you're gonna be filling in for me next week. Aaron, thanks a lot, man.
Thank
It's
you.
great, and we really appreciate the scotch, and we'll make sure that it's consumed in good taste. And I want to thank Zuri and Emily for helping us through this, and thank you all for joining us. And here's our autographed solo cup. I didn't forget this
Yes,
year. It's
thank
not
you.
autographed yet, but we'll do
Oh.
it in a couple of minutes. And I want to thank every one of you for joining us. Check us out at hibashitalk.com. Aaron at
HI.com.
trinet-hi.com. Forrest at wherever you may be.
Purple Maya. Check out Purple,
Purple Maya. So, and again, thank you all, and have a great weekend. And how are you doing?